The following video falls under the guidelines of fair use. Any copyrighted content will be used for the purpose of review only and will not be monetized in any way. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Pandora's channel, your home for controlled chaos. The time has finally come for the triumphant finale of my series on the fairy tale characters of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So let's end the series off on a bang. After all, we're talking about the bombastic, adventurous, fearless protagonist of the film,
Puss in Boots!
Unlike the other characters, Puss himself has had a bit of a legacy in terms of film appearances, appearing directly in both Shrek 2, Shrek the Third, his own spin-off film, an animated television series, a spin-off film of the spin-off film, and finally, The Last Wish. For the purpose of this video, I'll be focusing on The Last Wish, but I feel it's important to mention that this character has had nearly 20 years worth of animated film history to his name, with his first appearance in Shrek 2 in 2004. Now that all comes to a head in The Last Wish. Yet, even before all that, came the fairy tale. Puss in Boots was a tale written by French writer Charles Perrault in the late 1600s, in which the story itself follows the rise of the Marquis of Carabas, the youngest son of a poor miller who is gifted a cat as a form of inheritance. The cat dons a pair of boots and uses its skills of cunning and deception to grant the would-be marquis a castle, acres of land, and the hand of a local king's daughter. Right away, there's already some connecting threads that tie both this fairy tale and the film's Puss together. As we see in the opening moments of The Last Wish, Puss is a criminal who uses his infamy and notoriety to masquerade as a hero, utilizing instances of rash and dangerous heroism to further his fame. We see that Puss uses his extravagant parties and larger-than-life personality to gain the favor of towns that he visits, similarly to the way that the fairy tale version uses cleverly disguised plans to trick the king into believing that the Marquis is more famous and wealthy than he actually is. One key difference here is intention. See, Puss in the fairy tale uses his cunning to help build up the life of the Marquis, only benefiting for himself once all of the work is already done. On the other hand, Puss in the film uses his deception and extravagant parties to further his own gain, usually at the expense of his own lives, which leads us to the crux of the character conflict for Puss in Boots in this film. The film begs the question, what happens when the cat runs out of all 9 of his lives, which forms the basis of the development for Puss in this film. We see through his first encounter with death and his encounters with his past lives in the cave that he generally disregards his own lives, spending them frivolously up until death finally catches up to him. The juxtaposition of Puss's own frivolousness with the personification of death physically chasing him contrasts heavily with the original fairy tale. In the fairy tale, there is no such conflict. There is the appearance of fear in his encounter with the ogre in the castle, but that problem is immediately solved in the same exact cunning and deceptive fashion that he employs throughout the entirety of the fairy tale. In addition, Puss being pursued by death ultimately forces him to confront his carefree, narcissistic, and larger-than-life persona, and really asks you whether or not what he had been doing was worth it. The cat in the fairy tale never grows or changes as a result of what he does, and he and the Marquis never face any sort of consequence for the lives that get them into their position. A situation that could not be more contrary to Puss in the film. This idea of Puss's past actions coming back to haunt him is a key driving force behind each of his narratives, in a physical sense with the conflict between death and the hero's journey that the plot rides behind, but also in a more internal sense through his relationship with Kitty. This relationship adds a more direct statement to Puss's internal character flaws, directly criticizing Puss's self-centered nature by emphasizing the fact that he left Kitty on the altar, to which is revealed later that neither of them ever showed up in the first place, which kind of undermines the whole thing, but in spite of that, it still calls out against the issues behind Puss's character that remain present even in the original fairy tale. Although self-centeredness is not among those, it still outcries the underhanded nature of Puss's gains and his rise to fame, each things that carry Puss and the Marquis to their notoriety in the fairy tale. But where does all that outcrying and oncoming pursuit of death lead us? Well, Puss's story, unlike the fairy tale, comes to an end with the realization that he no longer needs to fly solo as he and his ego have led him to believe in the first place. He conquers death by cherishing the one life that he has now and not letting it go to waste like the 8 other lives before it. In spite of the fairy tale's lack of character growth on the part of Puss, the film grants him a new lease on life, leading Puss to cast aside his ego and his solo act in a way that he never would have otherwise. Those are just some of my insights into the character of Puss in Boots. I hope this series has been eye-opening for you as it has for me. If it was, let me know some of your thoughts in this video series in the comments below. If you haven't seen my first 2 videos on The Last Wish, be sure to check out my channel and go give those videos a look as well. While this may be the end of the Last Wish series on my channel, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss when we delve into the incredibly odd filmography of the world of Dr. Seuss.